What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Our technical director is Elijah Schmidt. He's assisted by Tyler Brewer today, and alongside Daniel Courtwright, I am Sean Kellerman. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in, watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Another week, and it is officially football season. KU football fall camp starts tomorrow. Tomorrow also marks 1 month from the season opener against the Long Island Sharks. Very exciting.
The Long Island Iced Teas.
We are going to be out there at David Booth, Kansas Memorial Stadium tomorrow. We're going to hear from head football coach Lance Leipold and select student athletes, and we're going to have all sorts of coverage over the coming weeks from those guys. We're going to be hearing from the coordinators. We're going to be hearing from other coaches and from all sorts of players for KU football in advance of the 2026 season, a season where Kansas is hoping to get back to a bowl, back-to-back 5-7 seasons. Yeah, we need to get at least 6 wins this upcoming year. You got 6 games at home, 5 on the road, 1, of course, across the pond in London against ASU.
You mentioned that tomorrow is 1 month to the day.
It is.
Until KU plays against Long Island. But I feel like you're overlooking a very important date, which is going to be this Thursday. The Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. I said this to you off air right before we got on. I got very excited. You looked a little scared. The fact that we were able to do game picks for the first time in a long time.
Panthers and Cardinals. I guess technically we could always do game picks for MLB or I think we dabbled with NBA maybe.
Baseball's like the hardest sport to gamble on.
Yeah, and you got the run line. And you probably, man, you don't even know the -1.5. I mean, I don't know how you would survive baseball because every game is -1.5.
I know.
So, yeah, very, very interesting. But yes, the Hall of Fame game is Thursday. Kansas Jayhawk football, though, it all starts tomorrow. We are going to have so many segments on this show that are just eaten up by press conferences from Coach Leipold and the KU players. So, best content, again, find us at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Kansas Nation on Facebook. You will not miss a moment of Kansas football coverage. But here in this opening segment today, we're talking about the big news that came up actually shortly after we got off air on Friday. NCAA eligibility bombshell declaring all high school graduates in the class of 2022 an extra year of eligibility. We'll get into that here in the opening segment and how it might affect KU across the athletic department, and certainly many different programs are going to be dealing with this. It's going to be kind of a weird deal. Talk about that. Next segment, MLB Trade Deadline. That is today. We are pre-recording the show, but we can tell you some updates for what we've seen of big names traded. Of course, the Royals over the weekend traded Lane Thomas, and there's some other guys who might be moved for the Royals, but we'll keep you up to date on all of that. Following that, we're going to have Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network. He is going to join us in studio to talk NCAA eligibility. He'll talk Chiefs football. Of course, they're going to be underway here in 2 Saturdays, if I'm not mistaken. The 15th, Chiefs and Rams. How about that?
Yeah,
if
I can't
Chiefs
wait, man.
don't beat the Rams, then that's just going to be heartbreaking.
How many? Here's actually a better question than will Patrick Mahomes start week 1 or whatever. Do you think we see even a series in the preseason games from Patrick Mahomes?
I kind of doubt it.
I do too, a little bit. Like they work him in, like that's how all NFL teams do it. Like they work them in and get them some sort of reps, and then when you get like farther down into like the third exhibition game or whatever, you see a lot more of these guys. But with Patrick Mahomes and the injury, I don't know if we see him at all. Which is good for you because then you got to watch all the Justin Fields football that you can stomach.
I want to see him, so I don't know. We certainly want him to remain healthy. That's going to be vital for this upcoming season. But Fields, and then you've got Nussmeier, and you've got Oladokin. I don't know if we'll even see Fields in game 1. I mean, I guess there's only 3 games, so we probably will.
Yeah.
But, yeah, who knows? Back when there were 4 games, it was like, do you even play any of your guys?
I bet Fields starts the first quarter.
Yeah.
And then probably they'll go right to Nussmeier.
Yeah. And Oladokin.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris Oladokin, man. What a weird stretch of Chiefs football that we had.
Wasn't that the worst?
After the injury last year? The injuries. Minshew, of course, had the injury too.
Yeah. Minshew, you were like, all right, well, Gardner Minshew's our guy.
Finally gets a chance.
Yeah, finally gets his chance.
Bam.
Immediately tears his ACL. You're
Yeah.
like, all right, well, I guess
Not
Chris
good.
Oladokin. That was the worst Christmas of my life.
Not good. Case of the Mondays following that. Dan, what's on here?
I got a lot of stuff on here for Case of the Mondays. Drake London has been in the news. By the way, I'm sniffing this one out. The more that I think about it, the more I think it's it's corporate propaganda, if you will, trying to get back into the good graces of people. It involves Taco Bell. I have some FIFA World Cup stuff on here. Harrison Bader's on here.
check.
Crazy story coming out of Harrison Bader in the San Francisco Giants. It's been an absolute train wreck of a season for the San Francisco Giants. Also have a non-sports one just about eBay. That's really, really interesting. I wanted to kind of touch on that. This has been a story that's been going on for I want to say 7 years now. So yeah, crazy stuff. But yeah, I got a lot of good stuff on Case of the Mondays. Shout out to DeAndre Hopkins, by the way. He's also on here.
Okay. All right. You didn't wear your jersey, even though you're talking about him.
I know. I found
Chiefs
it the other
legend.
day. Yeah, I lost it for a while, but then I found it. It was tucked away, behind the washing machine.
How much did you have to pay for that?
I don't want to say.
$149?
No.
More?
No, I got it on a somewhat
Acceptable.
sketchy website.
Yes. Yeah. You shouldn't publicize that.
It was $20.
We're talking KU football after that. Like I said, fall camp starts, and tomorrow we'll hear from Coach Leipold. But in advance of fall camp, Dan and I are each going to give a couple things that we want to see or we have a keen eye on here in the month of August.
It's a special segment called Three Things.
3 Things. Okay.
Yeah, it's always been called Three Things.
Yes.
One of our staple segments.
Yes.
Always been called Three Things.
3 Things. Don't ask how we came up with the name of 3 Things, but it's happening. And then we're going to close out the show with our Kansas City Football Chiefs opponent outlook segment as we preview the Buffalo Football Bills. They are led by Josh Allen, of course, who people still think is better than Mahomes outside the Kansas City area. People say that. Josh Allen has not yet won a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has won 3.
Have you seen the Madden 99 rankings, by the way?
I have seen some of them.
So 2 quarterbacks on there, Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford, 99. Myles Garrett, also 99. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 99.
High.
For the Myles Garrett, yeah. Well,
it seems high for the 2 quarterbacks and for JSN.
I mean, JSN was the
He's
offensive
good.
player of the
99
year.
used to be like a one guy in the game is 99.
They also have Jamar Chase on there. Don't love it. And then, weird, Trey McBride.
He's a 99?
He's a 99.
That is crazy. No, they're handing that out like candy these days.
Yeah,
I
don't know. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys who are 99s. I think that they should always cap it at 4.
Yeah.
I think 4 is the right number for 99s in Madden.
I agree, but it should be not.
Well, there shouldn't be. Well, and that's the thing. There shouldn't be 2.
Matt Stafford won the MVP, but it's like.
Yeah, but there shouldn't be 2 guys at the same position.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
And neither of them are Mahomes.
Well, yeah. Well, Mahomes didn't deserve it probably.
Yeah, I know, but I guess, whatever.
But there should never be 2 guys at the same position, both being 99. 2 guys.
All right, KansasNation.com, the place to be. Again, like I said earlier, KU football coming up hot here at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Kansas Nation on Facebook, also at the Kansas Nation on YouTube. Dan Courtwright will be posting various press conferences, quick hits, all sorts of things as we're going to be over at the press conferences throughout the fall camp season, of course, throughout the season as well. Can't wait for that to get going. Let's open the show, though, Dan, talking about this NCAA eligibility bombshell. It came out of nowhere.
You didn't want to talk about the pub crawl?
Pub crawl was great. Had a great time.
Good.
Yes, we did. Dan was a part of probably the first 15% and then the last 5% of the pub crawl. He was otherwise engaged, but no.
Which that was best 20%.
Had some. That's not true. Had some friends in town though. It was really fun. We started on one end, started at Dempsey's.
Yeah.
Ended at Harbor Lights.
Yeah, I was there for the first
couple
4
fun stops in the way.
I was there for the first 4 bars. I was with you at Dempsey's and Free State, then Local, then the Eldridge.
Yep.
Then we left because my buddy Cody got engaged.
Shout out.
And then we all kind of went out, and then we met up with you guys at Louise's downtown, finished it up at Harbor Lights.
So it was just the last 2 bars, right?
Yeah, it was just the last 2.
Louise's.
Yeah, it was just the last 2 bars. Which
How
I mean,
about
it
Luke
was
and
still,
Hunter making
still,
an appearance?
Yeah, shout out.
How
No, they were a good time. Yeah, I don't know. I will say this: it was a lot of fun, man. It was a good time.
Yeah,
it was a
dude.
good time. I got a call from friend of the show, Jack Ritter. Said that he saw you at Red Line.
Is that right?
Yes,
That's great.
He called me. He said, "I'm with Sean Kellerman." I said, "No way." He
Yes.
said, "Actually, he just left."
Yeah.
So I said, "Oh,
I just
okay."
left. No, we spent Red Lion was great because we were playing fingers and then it was like, oh my God, it's 11:20 and we still have to hit 3 bars or whatever after that. But no, it was fun. I've been doing this I think 13 years now.
Man.
And friends come in town for it. It's one of the highlights of the summer for sure. But yeah, now Dan Courtwright can say that he has been to almost 1.5 of the pub crawls.
No. Here's what I'm going to say. I closed down all of the bar crawls I've ever been to.
That's true.
Because I've been out until 2
That is
a.m.
true.
at
And
every single bar crawl.
I am actually proud of you for not going home and cuddling up with a blanket. And
we thought about it. Piper and I were in the car, and we're like, we can just go home and start watching Gilmore Girls. But we said, no, we made a promise to Sean. We're going to go to Louise's downtown, and we're going to meet up with them and finish it out.
Yes, which reminds me, Friday we were talking about how at times you're a flake. I'm proud of you for that. You're right. You're not a flake. How was Shreyas' going away party on Friday?
Yeah, all right, I
you
wasn't
said you were
able
going
to
to
go.
go to.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
I was doing a hay bale throwing contest.
Shout out to Shreyas Latta, by the way. He is no longer with the Kansas City Star. Actually, I stand corrected. He's with the Kansas City Star until Friday.
Yeah, and
unofficially.
He hasn't. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to give it away because he hasn't announced where he's going yet. I believe.
Yes.
So
yes,
but we know he's leaving to go to better places.
We have also not. Well, I don't know if I'd say that. Well, he is leaving for chasing an opportunity that he has wanted for quite some time.
Yes.
Anyway, NCAA eligibility, great stuff here. We're gonna reference an article from Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com, often through this. He does a great job breaking down the KU side of things. But essentially what happened, there's been a increasingly high number, is that a weird phrase, of successful lawsuits by high school graduating class members 2022. I probably didn't say that great. But members of the high school class of 2022 have successfully sued over and over again the NCAA for an extra year of eligibility. And it's been a lot of case-by-case basis. Because given the NCAA's new 5-and-5 rule that came out a few weeks ago, that you can play 5 seasons of college athletics beginning from either your high school graduation or your 19th birthday, a lot of student athletes going back to 2019 or maybe even prior because of the COVID year got a chance to compete in 5 years of college athletics because the first batch of those students were affected by COVID and got an additional year of eligibility. And then more recently, high school class of 2023 and even more recent than that, they all, because of the new 5-and-5 rule, get an additional year of eligibility. The only class that didn't initially get a 5th year of eligibility due to either COVID or the 5-and-5 rule is the high school class of 2022. So that's led to a lot of issues. I remember we talked about this when the 5-and-5 thing came out, and we were like, well, they're the losers in this because they're the only ones that don't get an extra year. They're 4 years and done.
Yeah, they're right in the middle of the two biggest things to ever happen in college athletics, which was COVID and the 5-and-5.
Exactly.
And they get the short end of the stick.
Exactly. Or at least we thought, as Friday night, a judge in Denver declared that the NCAA must render all such athletes eligible for a 5th year. Again, high school athletes from the class of 2022 who have competed in 4 years and, graduated, moved on from their 4 years of eligibility in college athletics. It was U.S. District Judge Charlotte Sweeney ruling that it's a preliminary injunction and will surely be subject to appeal, Greenstein says. And it's also not very clear how this is going to work. One thing that's come out over the weekend since Henry even published this article 2 days ago is that any athlete who has signed a professional contract is not eligible to come back. But still, that's a sizable number across college athletics who theoretically, and it's August 3rd, can decide to come back and play. That includes soccer players, volleyball players who, those rosters are not only set, but those seasons are about to start. It's absolutely crazy. So we'll see what happens here. But the NCAA, given the fact that there are thousands of athletes who can now come back, sort of shockingly, is going to be complete chaos now as most rosters are already constructed. Most funds that these athletic departments have already been spent. Allocated where they need to be allocated. Very, very strange. We'll get into this, and Henry does a great job breaking down the KU athletes who might get another year and theoretically could come back or enter the transfer portal. We thought we were done talking about the transfer portal.
Right.
But needless to say, there's all sorts of players across college athletics that this is affecting. And again, the timing is weird too with us being so close to the start of fall sports.
Yeah, I think if this would have happened in like June, it'd be a lot easier for everyone to kind of,
I think a lot of athletes would be more likely to come back too.
That's the thing. We were talking about this kind of off air of like, what's the reality of how many kids in the class of 2022 are actually going to utilize this? You said probably 20%, which is still a big number in terms of, like you said, there's not a lot of funds going around right now. It's August 3rd.
Yeah, and that's just a guess, 20%. But I'm thinking a lot of people have kind of made peace with the fact that they closed that chapter of their lives.
Yeah, totally. I understand it. Look, again, I'm not an advocate for the NCAA. I think they're a greedy, terrible organization, and I've been very adamantly, outwardly against most of the things that the NCAA does, right? If I am the NCAA, if I were to be a ruling factor in all of this, and I'm working on the NCAA side, you have to make ironclad rules. Like, I understand this. Like, it's, sure, do I want to see, like, Jaden Dawson get another year and, all these guys and whatever. Like, selfishly as a Kansas fan, like, you can utilize this and potentially add to your roster. But at the same time, college athletics needs to be fixed. It's an absolute dumpster fire right now. And this is just going to throw another wrench into the chains of what is supposed to be our favorite pastime, which is watching college athletics. And now there's going to be so many different changes, and it feels like you need like a law degree to even figure out what's going on in the world of college athletics right now. But yeah, I mean, so essentially, and again, as Greeny put it in there, it's probably going to get appealed, and we'll see if this thing goes through. But as of right now, there's a blanket injunction for all members of the 2022 class in high school who are able to get another year of eligibility. And again, if you sign a pro contract, then you're not allowed to do that. I'm glad that that's part of it, just because of the fact that you're seeing the Charles Bediacos and the who's the Baylor guy whose name is escaping me?
James Najee.
James Najee, yes, right. Those kind of stories, you go, okay, well, that's just clearly not fair. Like that they shouldn't be able to do that. If they sign a professional contract, then they shouldn't be able to come back to college, right? So I agree with that. But yeah, this is going to make everything much more complicated, and the NCAA either needs to nip this in the bud, and it's just so unfortunate. I mean, who the hell are the lawyers for the NCAA who keep on losing these damn lawsuits? I mean, this is just unbelievable to me. The fact that the NCAA is getting pushed around like this when they tried to put in these rules. We're like, hey, this is a 5-5. This is the rule. Sorry, class of 22. You got screwed, but we got to move on. We have to move on. Now everyone in the class 22 is trying to sue everybody, and they keep on winning, and now there's this blanket injunction and everything, and it makes the NCAA look like a mockery. It makes them look like absolute fools, and who they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. This needs to be stopped. I'm on the, and this might be the first and maybe only time I ever say this, I'm on the NCAA side on this. I think that they need to nip this in the bud, and they need to be like, no, absolutely not. We are not going to allow class of 2022 kids, and we need to move forward with this 5-5 plan. And everyone else is trying to sue, and I understand it. You're trying to go back to college. You're trying to get more money. Like, there's a lot of money involved in this. So they're trying everything that they can, exploring all their different avenues in terms of trying to get back into college. I understand this, but if I'm the NCAA, you need to nip this in the bud because things are getting out of control.
Yeah, they absolutely are. There's so much to get into regarding this, and who knows what the next few months are going to look like. But, I mean, again, KU soccer plays in 9 days. They have an exhibition in 5 days. You have a player like Lexi Watts, who theoretically could decide to come back. Again, I don't know how realistic it is because, again, rosters are set, funds are allocated, that sort of thing. I think 20% maybe of athletes will find a way back to playing in college, but you haven't been doing the off-season training that you usually do. That's a big deal too. And again, the chemistry of a team, I mean, we're at the point where we're past additions to rosters for particularly the fall and maybe even the winter sports. So it's just a strange deal. But here's some names of basketball players on the men's side that theoretically could return for a 5th season. Donovan Dent, the New Mexico point guard who was highly sought after in the NCAA transfer portal last year, went to UCLA for a year, then said he was retiring from basketball instead of entering the NBA draft. Now he's apparently unretiring and seeking another year of eligibility. AJ Storr is going to get another year of eligibility. Where will he go for yet another new college?
I want to throw this out there because I saw this very funny tweet. I want him to go to an ACC school so then he can play in all 5 of the power conference, because he played at Big East, St. John's for a year, Wisconsin in the Big 10, Kansas in the Big 12, and then Ole Miss in the SEC. Like he would just hit all the bases, which I think would be so fun.
Darion Williams from NC State via Texas Tech. Tamin Lipsey, 4 years at Iowa State. Braden Smith, 4 years at Purdue. He, though, has said that he will not be returning. Ohio State guard Bruce Thornton is on here. There's so many guys, and that's just on the men's basketball.
I mean, Jackson Kohler, JaMychal Stillwell, Trey Holloman. I mean, it's a lot of guys.
A lot of guys, and that brings us back to Greeny's article. Let's look at KU, sport by sport, potential players who could come back due to this ruling. And baseball, I think, is maybe where we start, because that's a lot of impact guys who I think, given the fact, Dan, that baseball is a spring sport, you have a lot of time now. And again, the funds are a thing. The additions to the roster who have already been, promised a roster spot, that's a thing as well. But some of these guys you would think would be welcome back. Cannon Carr, Toby Scheidt, Josh Dykoff, Dariel Osoria were high school members of the class 2022. That's noteworthy. Again, we talked about KU baseball, and they've added a lot of really talented guys as they always do. When Coach Fitz has been here, they seem to always hit. Plus, they're returning more guys who already had additional eligibility. So their roster, you feel really good about, but those are some names that theoretically, with this blanket injunction, could come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you look at these 4 baseball players, I mean, there's a lot of guys who have already committed and essentially, filled in the shoes, if you will, of the guys who have already planned on leaving. And now all of a sudden, and like you said, it's August right now. So when you're talking about baseball, there's a little bit more time to make some adjustments and do some different things like that. But yeah, you absolutely want Cannon Carr and Toby Scheidt to come back. You absolutely want Josh Dykoff to come back. I mean, Dykoff was so good last year at first base. Dariel Osoria didn't have the season that he wanted to, but we understand that there's power behind that bat, and did an excellent job of making the transition into, the interior field whenever we needed him, in theory, right? Whenever Cade Baldridge was injured or dinged up or whatever that may be. So yeah, I mean, it would be great. Selfishly, as a Kansas fan, it would be fantastic to get these guys back, because then that would just add more guys who have been on this roster for Kansas baseball who have had so much success over these last 2 seasons. So yeah, it would be a massive addition. But again, there are plenty of either A, transfers, or B, high school kids who got recruited to Kansas thinking, okay, I'm the one-of-one replacement for Josh Dykoff or for Cannon Carr or Dariel Osoria. And then all of a sudden, if these guys are able to come back, then that's going to make them mad, obviously. And they're going to be like, all right, well, I guess, what do I do now? Like, do I decommit? Do I get out of my national letter of intent or whatever? So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things kind of up in the air right now in terms of just KU baseball alone, and that's probably the easiest one, because you can wait all the way until spring to do this. Yeah, very strange. And again, I think that Coach Fitz and Coach McFall, some other coaches of the spring sports, are probably in a little bit of a better situation just because of time. The fact that they can look up and down their roster and see. But yeah, it is just a weird deal, because let's call it how it is. It's like there's a quote in Friends where, or no, it's The Office actually, where Jim goes back to Scranton from Stamford, because he's, in Stamford for a little bit. And it's like a college reunion where you catch up with somebody, you say, oh man, I really missed you. And he says, oh, it's okay, I'm going to move in with you. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's one of those things like, oh, yeah, that's great. You did a lot. Oh, no, don't worry about it. I'm on the team again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, okay,
but
all right.
Big shout out to Henry Greenstein again for all this. I'll just kind of roll through these. But basketball, Jaden Dawson, you mentioned, if he comes back, it likely won't be for KU. And then you have Trey White, who was awesome in the NBA Summer League for the Miami Heat. I would think he feels probably good enough about his performance that he will stay. So I don't know if anything is going to be majorly impacted on the men's basketball side of things. But who knows? And then on the women's basketball side of things, Sanaya Copeland,
Yeah.
Elle Evans, Lily Meister, they are all part of the class enacted by this ruling.
Yeah.
Evans, one of KU's best all-time three-point shooters, she did sign a pro contract in Italy, however.
Correct. Yeah, so she's probably not going to be coming back. And then Lily Meister, she already graduated. She's like working at a eye clinic right now
That's the
up
thing,
in
is
Rochester,
people,
Minnesota.
So many of these people
she's already moved on.
Have moved on. So who knows? But it's worth mentioning that they, are a part of this class and technically could be impacted. I mentioned Lexi Watts for KU soccer. In terms of KU football, really the only one that I think would potentially come back for another year would be Justice Finkley.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Henderson was also in that class, but he was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. You've also got a lot of softball players who were a part of bringing KU softball back to national recognition, getting the NCAA tournament, including Haley Kripe, the Big 12's co-defensive player of the year. She's playing professionally right now for the new Kansas City Diamonds team, but some of her teammates at KU also affected by this potentially. Campbell Bagshaw, Presley Limbaugh, Ainsley Linduff, and Lizzie Ludwig, and there are others. So that's so interesting, the fact that those players, who did the whole, thank you, KU, what's going through these players' minds? The fact that they theoretically have a chance to come back and play college athletics.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, Kansas had a big transfer signing class in terms of softball. All of them are interior, or not interior, but all of them are like middle infielders, right? So like Campbell Bagshaw and Haley Kripe, which she probably wouldn't come back, obviously, because of the she's playing professionally, but I mean, you have like a kind of a weird thing right there where Campbell Bagshaw, all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, there comes our second baseman again. Like that's going to be a little awkward when you already brought in some transfers, you know what I mean? So like I said, but it would be great selfishly for Kansas to bring back these girls, but like you said, it is just going to be so weird because they did the whole, social media posts and they went through the senior night and, now they're thinking about like, what's next for me? Like, oh, do I go, get my big girl accounting job or whatever, utilize your degree and you're done with college, you've already moved away. And now all of a sudden it's like, hey, by the way, you can move back to Lawrence and be back on the softball team. Like
it's
once
very
again.
strange.
And it's just like, I mean, that's such a massive thing to consider in such a short amount of time. You've talked about it, about the timing of this could not have been worse. Because of the fact that it is August 3rd, school starts what, the 24th? You essentially have 21 days to figure out whether or not you want to pick back up your life and go back to college and enroll in classes. It's crazy.
Yeah, and for KU volleyball, which they wouldn't have to if they're graduated, they wouldn't have to do the enrolling in classes. But for KU volleyball, returning, really the only one this would affect is Ryan Swanson. She was a second-team all-league pick. Katie Dalton transferred to Creighton, and then Ryan White, who you remember was a senior last year, she started her career in 2021, so she would not fall under this blanket. But, yeah, that's a lot of players. And, again, Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com has a great breakdown. Check it out. How latest eligibility bombshell could affect various KU sports is the article by Henry. I just am very curious how these conversations are going with the coaching, the members of the athletic department, and the players that were affected by this. Like, is Dan Fitzgerald texting Josh Dykoff? Is Josh Dykoff texting Dan Fitzgerald? Is Matt Ulmer reaching out to Ryan Swanson? Is Nate Lee reaching out to Lexi Watts and vice versa? It's so strange. And every single athlete in the NCAA affected by this is, at least now thinking about some possibilities. But, yeah, it just puts everybody in such an awkward spot. I mean, is it the right thing given the timing? I don't know. Is it the right thing given the fact that the class of 2022 high school grads get another year as pretty much everybody that they've ever been teammates with got? Maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just a really awkward spot. And we'll see. Hopefully we get some quotes, some press conferences from whether it's people at KU or people nationally. I know Danny Hurley had a tweet saying, somebody fix college sports. This is ridiculous, basically, right now, because that's how we feel. But I think to my core...
Danny Hurley's being the voice of reason in something, that's how you know it's bad.
I think to my core, I think there won't be a ton of changes at KU, but there is a chance that somebody like Justice Finkley or somebody like Campbell Bagshaw decides to come back and play. And, Jayhawks are Jayhawks. We want them to come back, but it's just very strange, and we don't really know what's going to come of it. But rosters are probably going to be changed in some way.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, even like you look at, because are they allowed to enter the transfer portal too? So like they don't necessarily have to come back to their initial landing spots. Like you said, like with Jaden Dawson, like he could get another one and then just kind of shop around and look for it. Just look for another spot to go to. And again, Jaden Dawson is graduated, but still you would have to think that they might have to enroll in like grad school classes or whatever to be a part of it. But yeah, no, the whole thing's a mess. The NCAA is a joke. I mean, I don't know. We'll continue to talk about this and kind of follow it as it goes along. We'll ask our guests about it too, just what their general thoughts are about this. But again, it could positively impact some former KU athletes. It could negatively impact the NCAA as a whole, which, makes, what's new there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, what a mess. Interesting story that, again, broke on Friday night, and we'll see how that looks moving forward, particularly for our Jayhawks across all sports in the athletic department. After this, though, Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network, will join us in studio. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
Hey, Kansas fans, Coach Bill Self here, and you're watching kansasnation.com.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Grass is still growing, and so are the savings at Heinen. Dominate the season with this limited-time offer on the all-star lineup of Ferris zero-turn mowers at Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. Get up to $600 instant rebate on a Ferris zero-turn mower. Flexible financing options available with improved credit. Offer ends August 31st. For details and big savings, see Heinen Repair in Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. kansasnation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here live at the Kansas Nation studio. Hey, check out Crown Automotive if you're in the market for a new or used vehicles. They're our founding partners here at Kansas Nation on South Iowa here in Lawrence, or if you're not local, check them out online at crownautomotive.com. Great selection of Toyotas, Volkswagen. So if you're looking for a Camry, Corolla, RAV4, Tundra, whatever it is, they've got you over at Crown. Miles Schneer and his team, the best in the game. Appreciate their partnership here at Kansas Nation. All right, let's bring on Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network. Nick, thanks for coming in studio. We just broke down in the opening segment NCAA eligibility mess that came out on Friday night. And, I don't know what thoughts you have. We kind of went through Greenstein's article of all the potential players at KU that are affected by this. And like Dan was saying, somebody like Lily Meister she's already moved on. She's got her big girl job working at an eye office.
She's working at like some eye doctor in Rochester, Minnesota.
And maybe that's a microcosm of the fact that these guys and gals have kind of closed the book. They've moved on, closed the chapter, got a new chapter. But there are going to be some players who I'm sure are very much intrigued by this and the thought of coming back to college.
That's just some big capital J journalism there from Dan.
Right?
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah.
In-depth research. I follow her on Instagram.
Was it LinkedIn or okay? Yeah, Instagram. Yeah, I was gonna say just find the LinkedIn of all these people. Yeah, Yeah, man, it's so funny because obviously, in principle, the idea of the NCAA and passing the 5-5 rule is that everything's going to be simple now, right? It's all going to be good.
Yeah.
The problem is that it has, in the short term, backfired in that everybody is, suing, countersuing, whatever. How, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but yeah. So it's actually in the short term created a lot more chaos in the world of college athletics. Versus its intended goal, which is obviously in the future to really simplify this process, where it's like, hey, no more lawsuits. You get your 5 years. It starts when you enroll in college, or it starts when you turn 19. Have at it, But in the meantime, you've got all these lawsuits that are happening, and obviously, Melvin Council, got into it, involved in this once there was that first lawsuit in Ohio with about, I think, 20 different athletes from Ohio State and other schools in that area. So, and obviously, it's now spiraled into just complete chaos over the past 4 days, basically, with guys seemingly now exploring their potential option for another year in college. And on top of all this, I mean, I'm sure you guys are going to want to talk about the fact that fall camp has started for KU football. So you're starting fall camp, and you're going to maybe add players in the middle of fall camp, for KU basketball. They've already got through all their summer workouts. They're going to be coming back in, 3 weeks to get started on their boot camp with Bill Self and getting ready for this. Like, it's a very, very fast-moving situation. And my stance on this stuff has always been the same, which is, first of all, I'm not a lawyer. Okay, so don't take my advice as gospel here. Secondly, it's like, man, anybody who claims that they think they know one way or the other how these different rulings are going to go, I don't know how you could even. I mean, you might as well be like a soothsayer, like you're doing like the rain dance, trying to figure out which direction, which way is the wind blowing. I don't know. So who knows how it's all going to play out? Obviously, it's injected a lot of chaos into the system for the time being, and from the KU football perspective, as far as I can tell, at least probably Justice Finkley is the only name that seems to be a guy that could come back because he didn't redshirt at all. He played 4 years, so he's a guy that I guess could come back. And there's an interesting wrinkle to this that I don't know if you guys talked about it, but if a guy didn't enter the transfer portal, then he actually can't go anywhere. Like, he can only go to whatever school he was previously at.
Oh wow.
So Finkley's a good example of that. Like, I don't think Justice Finkley was ever in the transfer portal. So like, if he's exploring a fifth year, it would be at Kansas. I don't think he can go anywhere else. At least how kind of my understanding of looking into some of the details of this is that unless you enter the transfer portal, if you come back, you'd have to go back to the school you were at, I think.
Okay.
And so, because if you guys remember, especially in the spring, or even if you look at this past year, like a guy like Dean Miller entered the transfer portal without eligibility, right? And now is suing to go play at UCF or whatever. Jaden Dawson's a good example of this. Melvin Couch is another good example, right? These are guys that officially entered the portal without eligibility, and now all of a sudden they might have eligibility. So who knows how it's all going to play out? But I can't say that I like it. I guess like it's very frustrating. I think from the fan perspective, like I doubt there's a lot of college athletics fans across the country that are like super excited about trying to keep track of like, will they, won't they, 5th year, 6th year, 7th year, whatever, like I think people are yearning for a more simplistic system, which the NCAA is going to be giving to them in the future. It's just that this seems to be sort of the last hurrah of like the true Wild West of eligibility.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, and you said it, like the NCAA is trying to make this simple and trying to implement ironclad rules, and they just keep on getting the pantsuit off them, essentially, and they keep on losing this. And it's kind of making a mockery of the NCAA, I think. And
yeah, I mean, I don't know if we talked about this on the show before, but I think that the NCAA, I can't really blame them. I mean, that's where they're at. They are going all the way back to like the original NIL stuff with the Nebraska quarterback, whatever the hell his name, or Nebraska, whoever the hell it was. The NCAA over the past half dozen years or more has become so paralyzed to make any decisions because this is what happens. They try to do something and they just get sued into oblivion by whatever. So that's I can't really blame the NCAA for kind of how things have gone because this is the result. Is any enforcement they try to move forward on, it just turns into this massive battle because there's always one case of one guy who's like, oh well, I had the flu and so I missed a couple games.
My
like,
case
I
is
should get
different than everybody.
eligibility back, or what, my coach left, or there's always somebody that just is going to try to take advantage of it. And then in this case, I don't think Melvin Council would be doing what he's doing if that case in Ohio had gone the other direction. Like the only reason, so it's a domino effect. It's okay. You find one judge somewhere that's like, okay, maybe fine, and then all of a sudden, it's a domino effect, and then you get somebody in Colorado being like, well, actually, everybody's eligible all the time. It's like, what does it even mean? It's unfortunate. The NCAA in a lot of ways has made its bet in this. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the NCAA at times. When you think about some of their hardline rules that they've had in the past, there was that weird. I don't know if you guys saw the story of the recruit that his agent paid for his flight for $400, and they were like, and the NCAA was like, no, you can't do that. And
it's he paid it back
the
too.
Guy, it's like we've got under the table deals for 7 figures across college football, and here comes the NCAA going to try to enforce a $400 flight. Obviously the NCAA has done a horrible job of picking and choosing its battles. I think is also part of it. But again, I guess the best thing you can hope for is that whatever the hell is the outcome here in the next coming months or whatever this upcoming athletic season, I guess it's all gone away with the 5-5.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you certainly hope so. And like I said, I kind of had the NCAA's back a little bit just because of the fact that they keep on getting sued. And again, I'm not a fan of the NCAA whatsoever. I think they're a terrible, greedy, horrible corporation. But at the same time, when you look at this kind of holistically, right? Because in theory, this should be one of the last lawsuits, major lawsuits, that's a blanket injunction over everybody.
It's not going to be the last.
In theory, right? So this is going to continue to happen where everyone's just going to try to sue and get more years of eligibility, and the NCAA is just going to bend over. Realistically, do you think this is sort of the beginning of the end for the NCAA? Because you're already hearing Greg Sankey talk about it in SEC media days about hey, we're exploring options. The SEC might leave the NCAA, the Big Ten might leave, and so do you think this is the beginning of the end for the NCAA?
My response to the SEC and Big Ten, I almost said a bad word there to describe them, but my response to them is do it. Go do it.
Yeah.
Go do it. You've been talking about it for 6 years.
Right.
Just do it. Screw it. Do it. Go do it. I don't care. Go make your own whatever the hell,
Yeah.
Go do it. Stop talking about it.
If that happens, then does the Big 12 and everybody else follow suit?
Speaking of lawsuits, I do not want to get sued for defamation for things that I would say about Greg Sankey on the air. So I'll refrain. But yeah, I'm sick and tired of their crap, man. If you're quit talking, you're all talk, you're all bark, no bite. Do it. I don't care. See what happens.
Yeah.
That's what I say to those people.
But you don't think it'll be? I mean, do you think it'll act
I want to say a word there, but I can't.
If it does actually happen, though, do you think that's going to be a bad thing for the SEC or a bad thing for the NCAA? I think the NCAA is going to cease to exist in the next 5 years.
Man, I don't know, and I don't think it matters. Truthfully, it's just if they want to go do that, fine. The whole system will probably crumble and be destroyed. I guess I don't know. Which maybe it's for a long time, I had a theory with the NCAA that the NCAA basically, especially with the NIL stuff, and I don't. This is just pure reckless speculation. Okay, full disclosure. This is just my theory. This is just my tinfoil hat theory. Is that with the NIL and stuff, the NCAA was basically all right, you know what? Fine, do Wild West. See how fun it is. See how great it is, right? And we'll come back in 10 years when you've completely destroyed everything, and we'll save it.
Sure. So they almost want it to be destroyed to show everyone that you need daddy here.
I wouldn't say that, but but my tinfoil hat theory for a long time, basically the past 5 years, is that I think maybe in the NCAA they're thinking, okay, yeah, go do whatever you want, go destroy everything as it is, and then when everyone realizes how awful it is, when there's no rules and people and the Texas Techs of the world or insert school here that's paying whatever, when everyone realizes how awful that is, then we'll come in and save it. And so now the we'll come in and save it part is, I think, up for debate about whether or not the NCAA can do that. But the point being is I I don't know, man. I
Because
mean,
they're trying to right now, and they're getting sued.
yeah, I don't know.
So it kind
And
of
then-
backfired
and,
on them.
You know,
if
you
that's
have to
the
consider
case.
the fact that, like, everything's so inflated because of the TV deals. What if the TV deals crash when they're up for negotiation again in like the early 2030s or whatever? So like, I don't know. Like, but you know, you end up just kind of talking yourself in circles with this stuff. Like, does it really matter? Like, it's just gonna, you know, I don't know. So I honestly, I get exhausted just thinking about it.
I like that you're a nihilist about this. It's fun.
You got your brothers on your team, and you got your daddy. You know who your daddy is.
Your daddy's the NCAA.
Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports
I don't
Network, joining
even-
us
I
here
don't even wanna-
in studio. Nick, KU football fall camp starts this week. Can't wait to see
Oh,
you.
thank God. We're finally going to talk about the
more
actual X's and O's.
Often we get to see you as head coach Lance Leipold. We'll be speaking to the media tomorrow, and we'll hear from a few guys as well. What are you most looking for during this fall camp season, be it at practice and these press conferences from these guys in general? Because season starts a month from tomorrow, and a lot of interesting storylines.
Yeah, a month from tomorrow. That's a good call out. Yeah, I think obviously the quarterback battle is going to be the main focus. I think we talked about this last week. Like at the start of fall camp, I don't expect there to be much like groundbreaking, earth-shattering revelations about the quarterback battle. One thought I did have on the quarterback battle, I talked about this on actually the paid podcast that I recorded this morning, which is, well, it's kind of twofold. Number one, in terms of the decision-making process of who's actually going to get the job, is it just Lance Leipold? How much input does Andy Koelnicke have, or Jim Zabrowski, or however they approach that process of actually picking it? But then the second aspect of that I kind of thought was interesting is, you know, I think most people would say if you were to, you know, look at Andy Koelnicke and say, well, who would Andy Koelnicke prefer? I think the logical thought would be, well, he probably prefer Isaiah Marshall, right? I mean, he's more explosive. You know, you could do more. He's more dynamic. You could do a lot of different stuff. But I actually think that it might not be the case that way. I actually think it's possible that Andy Koelnicke may prefer Cole Ballard. Here's why. What does Andy Koelnicke love most? He loves having his playbook wide open. He loves having access to all of his plays. He loves being able to call anything he can at any given moment. If Andy Koelnicke or the staff thinks that KU's passing attack could be limited by Isaiah Marshall compared to Cole Ballard, I wonder if maybe that would actually make a guy like Andy Koelnicke favor Cole Ballard, where he can say, hey, on any given down, I have access to every play that I can call.
Yeah.
Whereas with Isaiah Marshall, that may not be the case. Now, we'll get to see a closer look at them during fall camp to see, you know, how good of a thrower of the football Isaiah Marshall is. But I had that thought, like, people may have that backwards. Because I think, again, the knee-jerk instant thought would be, well, obviously Koelnicke would favor Isaiah Marshall. I mean, he could think about all the things he could draw up with Isaiah Marshall, but also think about all the things he couldn't draw up with Isaiah Marshall.
Right.
With Cole Ballard, maybe, again, the ceiling is not as high on some of the other plays, but if he has full access to all of his plays at all times, maybe he would prefer Cole Ballard. So that was my thought on the quarterback battle.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. Nick Springer, KCSN, joins the show here in studio at the Kansas Nation Studios. And I want to talk a little bit about the defense. And we've already talked about DK McDonald and all the pressure that there is in terms of year two and different things like that. But in terms of, I wanted to talk about the secondary, because you're bringing in guys like Christian Pritchett, you're bringing in guys like Corey Gordon right in that safety room, but you also have a number of different guys who, I mean, weirdly, I feel like not a lot of people are talking about this. You have some leaders who are coming back, and Jalen Todd, Austin Alexander, and Taylor Davis. Like, those three guys are stalwarts. You also have Mason Ellis coming back, and we didn't get to see Mason Ellis sort of at full go. But your expectations, I guess, of this secondary group run by a defensive coordinator who has experience running the entire secondary.
I'm actually very happy you asked that, because I actually wanted to talk about the secondary.
Let's
so
go.
Look at that. A little bit of mind meld there from Dan. Okay. Do you have any idea how many interceptions KU had as a team last season?
Oh, God.
Off the top of your head.
Like 4, 5? Is it more?
It was 4.
Four?
KU had 4 interceptions.
Yeah, it did
as
not
a
force
team
any
last season.
turnovers. It's just like basketball. It didn't force any turnovers.
And that ranked, by the way, tied for third worst in all of FBS.
Oh.
Okay. Funnily enough, Cincinnati was the worst in the FBS. They had, Cincinnati's a team, 2 interceptions in 2025.
That's crazy.
Isn't
That
that
is
wild?
crazy.
That's
2
actually
by
wild.
Cincinnati. But KU was third worst. Okay. You know what they were in 2025? 2025, they had, I believe, 10 interceptions.
Okay.
Or no, it was 12, actually. They had 12 interceptions
12
as a team
interceptions.
in
Well, sure.
2025 with Kobe Bryant and Melo Dotson.
Makes
right?
sense.
So there was a huge fall off there. Now, the interesting thing about that is in 2025, the KU offense had more turnovers. In 2024, sorry, I got that mixed up. 2024, the KU offense had more turnovers. 2025, KU offense did a better job of taking care of the ball, but KU still had a negative turnover margin because of the defense's complete inability to force turnovers.
Right.
So the biggest thing that I'm looking for in the secondary is force more turnovers. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about the difference in one-score games, when you talk about the difference in late game situations, turnovers can be everything, right? I mean, that can be the reason why you win or lose those one-score games. So that's what I'm looking at with the secondary. I want to see if they're going to be more aggressive. You know, I think last year a lot of people looked at the secondary and saw, man, they're playing too soft a lot of times, right? So are they going to be more aggressive? You know, can Jalen Todd play up to his, I think, all-conference potential that he has? Austin Alexander had a bumpy season in 2025, I think, to put it kindly, but he also had some really nice plays. You know, he saved the game against UCF when KU won that game. But, yeah, turnovers will be the biggest thing. And then, you know, going back to the spring, and, you know, we're going to get a chance to hear from the coaches again for fall camp, but just going back to the spring and, like, listening to Brandon Shelby and what he said back in April about what KU did in the transfer portal, what you were mentioning, Dan, and that KU, according to Shelby, really wanted to add more length in their secondary room. They're looking for bigger-bodied, more lengthier guys. When you think about a guy like Roman Pearson, the transfer from Ball State. You mentioned Corey Gordon already. Keyshawn Cummings-Coleman, the transfer from Iowa State. Jaden Harris, obviously, is a transfer from both Georgia and Miami. So they wanted to add more length in that room, and I would hope that's because they realized that, hey, we didn't force any turnovers. We didn't get any interceptions last year. So let's get bigger and longer and try to, you know, put ourselves in a better position to make some interceptions. So that's the number one thing I'm watching for is forcing more turnovers because KU did a very poor job of that, you know, last year. And when you look at what KU had with Kobe Bryant and Melo Dotson, you know, those were guys that they'd get beat. I mean, they would get beat. But they would make up for it with some of the impact plays they had with interceptions and defensive touchdowns scored and plays like that. And KU had none of that last year. They had none of that X factor in the secondary, none of that turnover ability, impact play in the secondary, other than from Lyric Rawls. But Lyric Rawls was not an interception guy. He was a guy that could come downhill and maybe break up a pass over the middle or, you know, hit somebody hard in the run game. And obviously he's not on the team anymore anyway. So that's what I'm looking for most is, I mean, the positive here is turnover margin. It's a very, very volatile stat. So it is very possible that KU could correct that right away and be back up and have more turnovers this year. But yeah, man, when you really start to look at the numbers of what KU did in the secondary with Kobe Bryant and Melo Dotson and just how many interceptions they were getting, and then the massive drop. I mean, think about it. From 12 to 4, like, you know, from 12 to like 7 or 8, okay, fine, sure, whatever. But 12 to 4, to third worst in the country in terms of interceptions. And obviously, not all of that has to do with the secondary, but, you know, 90% of it probably has to do with the secondary. But the other thing a lot about that is, and this kind of ties in too, the other thing KU didn't really do very well, especially in conference play last year, was they didn't get a lot of sacks. They didn't get a lot of pressure. So, okay, maybe if your D-line is a little bit stronger this year and able to generate more sacks, more pressure, that can help with the secondary too and forcing more turnovers. So, it doesn't fall all in the secondary, but certainly I think that'll be, to your question, you know, the biggest factor, I think, for this secondary this season. And honestly, just one more final thought. I'm fine. Me personally, I'm fine with playing more aggressive. Like, if you're going to get beat a couple times, whatever, that's fine. To me, it's worth it if you're gonna force turnovers.
That was Kobe Bryant's whole thing. He was biting hard on stuff and getting beat.
I'm okay with that.
It was
me personally, I'm okay with that. I know obviously, you know, there'd be people with different defensive philosophy that would say like, oh my God, why would you be okay with giving up a 60-yard touchdown? It's like, you know, if you get an interception, it's fine. Whatever. I don't, you know, I guess that's why I'm not a coach. But like,
yeah, the problem is when you don't play aggressive, don't force turnovers, and still get beat.
Yeah,
There's a
right.
problem. And
You know,
this is a big. This is year 2 for DK McDonald. This is a big year because
it's huge.
If you're a defensive coordinator and you're not pressuring the quarterback and you're also not forcing turnovers, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
Because college football teams score the football unless you're able to cause some havoc, get some takeaways, that sort of thing. So, a lot of questions.
By the way, on top of all that, what was the area that KU maybe struggled in the most last season? Third downs.
Yeah.
Especially third and longs.
Yeah.
Like, it was the triple whammy of just, you know, no pressure, no turnovers, and
couldn't get off the field
on third down.
Couldn't get off the field,
Totally. Yeah. Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network. Last thing, Nick, we got to ask you about the Pay Heat podcast. We haven't divulged the news on where Shreyas Laddha will be going, but it will not be local. He will not be continuing on the Kansas City Sports Network. Of course, he's moving on from the Kansas City Star as he was on our show on Friday. But Pay Heat podcast will be having a new chapter. Tell us about that.
Yeah, solo dolo, I guess. I don't know.
Right?
I'm just going to be doing my own thing.
go.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some more daily content this month in August with fall camp, so you can expect more regular content daily on the feed. Probably going to continue that into the football season as well with more daily shows to get the news straight to you on the KC Sports Network. So, yeah, news, analysis, paid podcast, Kansas Jayhawks and KCSN. I'm excited for it. As you said, it's a new chapter. You know, the one thing I told Trace is, if you think about it, the paid podcast is where dreams come true. Okay? Kevin Flaherty.
Yeah,
He comes
that's
on to the
true.
paid podcast. What's
dream
Kevin
job.
Flaherty's dream job?
Work
To
for
work
KU.
in high school recruiting, to work in a college athletics office, specifically KU, and to, you know, dive into the film, watch high school players, and get involved with high school recruiting. What happens after he comes to the podcast? He gets that job at KU. Shreyas Laddha comes to the paid podcast. You know, did the KC Star make his dream come true? I don't think so.
It was all you. Yeah, I think you should take full credit.
It was
for
the
that.
paid podcast that made his dream come true. He comes to the paid podcast, and boom, all of a sudden, he's got, he's pursuing a dream opportunity of his as well. So, the podcast is where dreams come true. So,
Clearly. Kansas City Sports Network, who also has great coverage of the Chiefs, by the way, the KCSN.
Right.
So that's coming up as well.
I have one quick thing before we let you go. We were talking about this off air. Do we see Patrick Mahomes at all in an exhibition game?
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Yeah,
You'd have to see him a little bit. Yeah.
Sure, I just didn't know. You know?
Maybe, yeah.
I
don't
guess
know.
he's fully cleared. Why not? But
Yeah.
also,
No,
it's
he's
like
fine.
sometimes you just never see those guys. You know,
I mean,
and then sometimes it's like for a drive or whatever. But with Patrick Mahomes and his injury,
I think I would assume it's going to be the same as it always is with Andy Reid, which is, you know, in the first game, you get a drive.
Yeah.
In the second game, you get a quarter. And in the third game, it's maybe a half with the starting players.
Yeah. We'll see.
So
but, yeah, it's nice
that's-
seeing him out there for Chiefs
my
fall
guess.
camp, which has been going on.
By the way, the wide receiver room, not looking great.
not looking good.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not looking
Shout
good.
out
We'll
Cyrus
see.
Allen.
Nick Springer, Kansas
I
City
just
Sports
learned
Network.
that there's some guy named Andrew Armstrong that
Yeah,
apparently might
I
make
saw
the team.
that.
That I was like, I
He
don't
was
even know.
running. He was running with the
I
ones.
was like, I don't even
today.
know who this is. Like, what is, you know, throw me out there. I don't know,
Yeah.
I guess. Don't
It's
throw me out
early.
there. I'll
It's
die.
early. We'll be all right. Nick Springer, thanks for coming in. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks.
More coming up here on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com.
What's up? I'm Bodie Ray with Kansas Baseball, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Hi there, Gary Joslin with Joslin's Jewelry. I'm not the class ring company. I'm a mom and pop jewelry store for 42 years. We were recently voted the gold medal #1 jewelry store in the greater Kansas City area by Ingram's Magazine. Come see us at Joslin's Jewelry, 9529 Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
Dog Days of Summer sales event at Family Leisure. Deep discount store-wide. It's hot and you need a pool. All remaining pools are priced to move. Buy now and save big. Pools as low as $19.99. Patio furniture, wicker, sling, poly, and more. Huge in-stock selection. Up to 50% off. If you've been thinking about getting a new patio set, now is the time. Melt away stress. Great deals on spas, swim spas, and cold plunge tubs. Now featuring Fooly trampolines. Dog Days of Summer sales event going on now at Family Leisure.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. Kansasnation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's
Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright back with you here, rolling through a Monday edition of Rock Chalk Sports. MLB Trade Deadline is next on the docket, and we'll go through what we know so far. We are pre-recording the show, and technically it goes until 5 p.m., so while it is right now becoming 5 p.m. exactly as you're watching this show, we have a few things from a little bit earlier in the day that we want to get to, and certainly over the weekend, the big news for the Royals was trading Lane Thomas. Dan, the Royals traded Lane Thomas and left-handed pitcher Bailey Falter, who previously had been designated for assignment, to the Braves, and the Royals in return got a couple minor league pitchers, right-handed pitcher Lucas Braun and left-handed pitcher Carter Holton. Braun is a 24-year-old who's about to be 25. He was a sixth-round pick for the Braves in 2023, went to Cal State Northridge, but he's been very durable, racking up the fourth most innings pitched in the minors from 2024 to 25. He's a big righty, and the hope, according to J.J. Piccolo, is that Braun can help the Royals sooner rather than later. And then, as I said, you also have Carter Holton that Piccolo says has talent that fits the Royals system. So you can never have enough pitching. The Royals tried Bailey Falter. He didn't work out well at the major league level. They throw him on to this Lane Thomas deal. Lane Thomas has been awesome the last month, and he's got an 850 OPS against left-handed pitching. The Braves have two starting outfielders who are lefties in Mike Yastrzemski and Michael Harris II. Plus, Ronald Acuna is a righty, but he's dealt with some injuries. He might spend some more time at DH. So Lane Thomas, a really good fit for the Braves. And again, the Royals get a couple pitchers in return. We don't know at this exact time, the time we're pre-recording the show, if Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha are going to get moved. But what I'm hearing is no. And again, I could be totally wrong.
Yeah.
Because the Royals are trying to navigate this trade deadline in a way that, yes, they're sellers. The record's 46-67. They just got swept by a terrible Rockies team after giving up a walk-off grand slam in the finale against the Twins. But the Royals still believe that they can compete for the postseason in 2027. They thought they were going to compete this year, but underperformance and a lot of injuries up and down the roster have affected that. So it seems like they're being careful in terms of they're not trying to give everything away, because they think that Wacha and Lugo in particular are guys that are going to be vital for the Royals competing in 2027.
Yeah, I understand that, right? I mean, you are coming off of, they made the playoffs, right, in 2024.
Yeah.
So, you're not that far removed, you know what I mean, to where you just sell the entire farm, right? You have a nice core there with, Michael Garcia, Bobby Witt Jr., right? You have nice pieces kind of around you. Vinny, obviously, but just the injury bug, I think, has kind of plagued the Royals all throughout this year, which is just really unfortunate, and those are the things that happen. But I think it's, like you said, it's a little too early to start selling the farm. I think this Lane Thomas move is good. I think they're selling on him while he's really high because, yeah, he's been great over the last few months, but how sustainable is it? He's 30 years old, and this is really the best that he's been playing throughout maybe his entire career. So get a couple of young pitchers in. I love that. Lucas Braun, like you said, 3.92 ERA. He's 5-2 in his starts at AAA. So, that's good news there. And maybe the Royals can utilize him. Bailey Falter, like you said, just did not necessarily work out. So maybe Lucas Braun can come in and kind of be another kind of relief guy, or just kind of plug and play him anywhere for the back stretch. Just get him more MLB major league reps and be okay for the future, which I certainly hope that would be the case. Carter Holton, who knows what to expect of him. He was at high A. Over in Augusta for the Braves. So, maybe we'll see if that's something that can pan out as well. But I like the fact that they're selling high on Lane Thomas as of right now. But again, we consistently talk about this with David Lesky. The fact that, they could just be full-on sellers and get rid of everybody and just, get a bunch of farm system guys, and hopefully they'll be good in the future or whatever. But I think there is a good the bones are there. You know what I mean? I almost said this is like when you have a upper house and all the drywall is dinged up and the bathroom sucks, but you go, well, there's good bones there. And I think that there are good bones on this Royals roster. I think that there may be some adjustments that need to be made. But again, I don't think you just completely sell the farm. You don't sell the house right now.
Yeah, it's been not a fun season for the Royals.
No,
the summer has been majorly tainted because of the Royals absolutely, being terrible. They're terrible. They're 46 and 67. That's not going to cut it. And again, there are reasons for that, but some of the reasons have been guys not being good enough, and that's been the problem. But yeah, Lane Thomas has been good enough for the Royals to get a decent return. You get a top 10 prospect from the Braves system that, again, is on the cusp of being major league ready, I would say. So that's a plus. And Lane Thomas, a player I really liked. I loved when the Royals got him in the offseason because he does hit lefties well. He's the type of guy that can lead off, as he did often for the Royals, or he can hit closer to the middle of the order. He's not the biggest guy, but he puts the bat on the ball, and I liked him a lot. But yeah, he did enough to get the Royals a couple pitching prospects. So that's the news over the weekend in terms of the Royals. But the big news, Dan, and I know you have thoughts on this, two-time Cy Young winner Tarek Skubal going from the Tigers to the Dodgers.
Baseball's over.
Another incredible player heading to L.A. He'll be making his first start tomorrow at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. But the Tigers got an outfielder, Zaire Hope, and a couple of right-handed pitchers, River Ryan and Brady Smith. The former two, Hope and Ryan, were top 10 prospects in the Dodgers organization. Skubal was set to be a free agent after the season, so we don't know if he'll just be a 2-month player with the Dodgers or if they'll try to re-sign him. But needless to say, on paper, they have one of the best starting rotations of all time right now, because you have, when everybody's healthy, you've got Ohtani, you've got Yoshinobu Yamamoto, you've got Blake Snell, and you've got Tyler Glasnow when all those guys are healthy, in addition to Skubal. So a two-time Cy Young winner who is just absolutely nasty and at the peak of his career right now goes to the Dodgers, the reigning World Series champs, and now even growing concern that we will even have baseball in 2027.
So that's the thing. Obviously, there's talks about this, and Jeff Passan does a good job of kind of keeping everybody up to breast about everything going on in the world of this upcoming year for baseball, and the fact that there's growing tension between the owners and the players, and it's all about salary caps, right? Should we put a salary cap on Major League Baseball? Because right now there's not. There's also not a floor handicap right now for baseball as well. So that's what the players really want is, hey, we need to have a minimum of what you should pay your athletes, and then there also should be a cap in terms of what you should pay your athletes as well. And now, I mean, this is just full-on proof of like, okay, well, yeah, now we need a salary cap, right? The Dodgers are just getting everybody. They can pay for everybody. It doesn't matter, right? And meanwhile, the Mariners and the Royals and all the small market teams, they're just kind of left in the dust.
And I want to put this tidbit out there while you're talking about it. MLB is proposing for 2027 a salary cap and a salary floor system, and the salary cap for 2027 will be $245.3 million, which is the most a team can spend on its player payroll, and the salary floor, the minimum that each team is required to spend, would be set at $171.2 million. So there's about a $74 million disparity between the cap and the floor. Again, super teams like the Dodgers are building wouldn't necessarily be commonplace like they are now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, how much is the Dodgers payroll right now?
Oh my God, it might now be higher than the Mets. I think the Mets had the highest in the league.
Dodgers payroll, I have it right here, $430 million.
Yeah, so that's a huge drop off to even the ceiling of $245 million.
Yeah, which, like, granted, I mean, the Dodgers players aren't going to want that. You know what I mean? Because they like getting paid that much. They like getting paid a ton of money to play for the Dodgers, right? But obviously, like, if they go elsewhere, they're able to get that money. If you can kind of even it out, it makes everything more even. But again, there's conflict between the players and the owners because they want very different things, and there could potentially be a holdout for next year, which, again, if we're talking all these trades, they're not even going to matter if there's no baseball coming up next year. By the way, could you imagine doing a show in, let's say,
no, it'd be terrible.
Like July 20th of 2027 when there's no baseball going on? Wouldn't that just be terrible? That would just be absolutely brutal.
A lot of cup checks on the women's side because the World Cup's next year.
You. By the way, I told you this weekend that Tarek Skubal got traded, and you did not believe me because it was so asinine, the fact that...
Of course the Dodgers get him.
Yeah, I know. I texted you. We were at the pub crawl, and I texted Sean. I said, Skubal to the Dodgers. And he said, you're not invited next year to the bar crawl because you're lying to me. I said, nope. Check the news, buddy. Turn on the TV. It doesn't matter what channel. It's bad.
You're lying. You're lying.
It's bad, man.
It happened. It happened. Hey, some other big names. I don't know if you have any interests or any thoughts on these. Luis Arraez, the 3-time batting champion, goes from the Giants to the Phillies. Kevin Gossman, this happened yesterday. He goes to the Cubs. The Cubs needed a front-end rotation guy because they've had a lot of injuries in terms of both starting and relief pitchers this season. Freddie Peralta, a solid pitcher for the Mets. He goes to Tampa Bay. And then just today, Jose Soriano, interestingly enough, goes to the Jays. So the Jays trade Gossman, but they only had him under contract through 2026. Soriano, who's a great pitcher for the Angels, or has been, he's under contract through 2028. So that's kind of one of those, okay, we got rid of some money. We got rid of a guy who's going to hit the free agency market. So it's one of those half sell, half buy type moves. Because then you bring in Soriano, a guy who can fill the void of Kevin Gossman, but also you have him for the next couple years. So I think that was very shrewd by the Jays, who I'm hearing will be in the market for Skubal after this season. And then Joe Adell gets traded reportedly to Cleveland. They desperately need some power. So those are some big names. Taylor Ward, he goes from Baltimore to the Seattle Mariners. So a lot of movement. Been a busy deadline so far.
Yeah, it certainly has been. Luis Arraez going to the Phillies, I mean, that's just going to bolster them up and make them a ton, quite a bit better. But yeah, like you said, Gossman goes over to the Cubs. I think that's good for them. And then with the Jays, like you said, they're essentially just trading a 1-for-1, but just with a guy who's maybe a little worse, but has another year on his contract, as opposed to potentially just losing out on it. I think that's what happened with the Detroit Tigers, right? Because Tarek Skubal was going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So they just wanted to get whatever they could get out of him. Get something is better than nothing. Even though this whole trade seems like Tarek Skubal, was traded for not Tarek Skubal,
quality
prospects, right? Because of the Detroit Tigers. But at the same time, they had 2 months left. And if they would have waited this long, the Detroit Tigers would just would have lost out on him, and they would have gotten virtually nothing. So they're like, all right, well, I mean, who's willing to pay for him? Guess who? The Dodgers. So, whatever.
I like what the Angels have done, too. Again, Soriano's a really good pitcher, but they got Arjun Nimala, who is maybe the best prospect that'll be moved this deadline. He comes over from the Jays, and then the Angels, like I said, also traded Joe Adell for some prospects. So you don't say that very often because the Angels have repeatedly underperformed and not made good moves, but perhaps this will work out for them despite the fact that they're losing a really talented pitcher. So again, we'll do a full recap on the MLB trade deadline on tomorrow's show, and we'll definitely get David Lesky's thoughts on that, as well as the Royals move Lane Thomas to the Braves, and they're still wanting to. The Royals always do this. They always do this. They always want to kind of be in the middle. They don't want to fully commit to selling, fully commit to buying or anything. But 21 games under 500. We'll see how it goes moving forward. Hopefully, this Lucas Braun, again, the number 8 prospect in the Braves organization, does good things for the Royals in his career. Hey, more coming up on Rock Chalk Sports as we are going to do a little sports stock market whip around.
Whoa.
Looking at the weekend that was.
It's Case of the Mondays.
Oh, Case of the Mondays. You're right. Wow, look at that. That's such a Dan move.
Yeah, I know. That's the first time you've done that.
Look at that. It is going to be a whip around in the sports world, but we're not going to tell you anything good. It's only bad things. Case of the Mondays next. ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com.
I'm Kenny Logan Jr., and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. OPA is not just your local office products connection. We have expanded our offerings to network cabling installation, security cameras, door access, and IT services. We all need to keep pace with new technologies. You can trust a Kansas City company that has been your partner for 32 years. Check us out at opakc.com. Supporting local businesses and our community is more important than ever.
Hustle in and save on a Hustler mower from Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. The 2027s are already rolling in, so Heinen is making deals on 2026 Hustler mowers during their model year-end clearance sale. Financing options are available with approved credit. Heinen Repair south of Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
The newest, biggest, baddest, greatest lawn equipment.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. Kansasnation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
All right, time for our Case of the Mondays segment. We're going to close out the show a little bit later, though, so stick around as we have a segment that we are constantly doing on the show. You guys are probably sick of it. Three Things.
Three Things.
Is coming up next.
It's always been called Three
Things. Have our Three Things segment, talking Jayhawk football, and then Buffalo Bills, a little preview of them a little bit later. Are they still saying James Cook is a top 5 fantasy back?
I'm sure they are.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they. I'm saying they, the prognosticators. So who's going one?
I think so.
Who's going one? Bijan?
It's gotta be Bijan, right?
Bijan or
is this is probably the first year in like 12 years that Christian McCaffrey's not number 1 overall.
Yeah. Gibbs. That's the other one. Bijan and Gibbs.
That's right. That actually makes a lot of sense.
We'll see. See how it goes. Fantasy, man. Everybody's going to want to hear about your fantasy team, I'm sure.
Oh, I know it. Everybody loves hearing about other people's fantasy teams.
Totally. People take a lot of interest in that.
Yeah.
Case of the Mondays.
I can't wait to tell people how Tutu Atwell screwed me.
You're up here for Case of the Mondays. We start with a guy expected to be a fantasy star. He just signed a nice contract as well.
Yeah, that's right. Case of the Mondays for Drake London's fiance. So Drake London and his girlfriend, now fiance, Sophia Gabay, they got engaged this weekend. Congratulations to you guys. It's always a beautiful thing to see love blossom in such a way. Drake London proposed to Sophia Gabay with Taco Bell. Drake London,
in lieu of a ring?
I believe there was a ring involved.
Okay.
But he had this beautiful thing that was overlooking, I want to say it was like L.A., because he's from, he went to USC. I think he's from there, around there. So they were in L.A., a beautiful overlook. They set up a nice table and everything, and there was a Crunchwrap Supreme and a couple of tacos and some Baja Blasts right there.
That's so good.
He proposed to her with Taco Bell. Drake London, by the way, just signed a 4-year, $140 million extension with the Falcons. So he had a lot of money.
He can afford some Taco Bell.
He can afford a lot of other things other than Taco Bell. Now, granted, I will say this. London said that when him and Gabay went on their second date, Gabay said that it would be a, quote, dream for her future proposal to include a Taco Bell meal.
Sounds to me like he answered the call.
So he said that's her favorite fast food chain. It's for Mark Raimondi from ESPN. I'm sniffing this one out. I think I know what this is.
Sponsorship?
I think that Taco Bell paid Drake London to do this so they can get good PR because of the fact that their lettuce has been making people poop.
No.
You don't think so?
That's just you. That's just you being a hater.
I'm not being a hater. I'm sniffing this one out.
I bet Sophia Gabay loves Taco Bell.
No, Taco Bell hired some PR person and they said, you know what? Let's get Taco Bell back in the good graces of people when our lettuce was making people poop. Let's get people back.
I do want to.
I'm all over I'm putting my tinfoil hat on, and I'm saying that Taco Bell concocted all this. They threw Drake London some money and said, "Hey, utilize Taco Bell. Use it in your proposal to get people to be back on the side of Taco Bell."
I do want to point this out. The Crunchwrap Supreme has taken like multiple steps down. It used to be the best thing on the menu, and now it's not nearly as good. They don't put enough meat in it. They don't put. It used to have everything. It would have the guacamole. It would have the sour cream. It would be plenty. I don't know. For some reason,
everything's gone downhill there. Well, everything's gone downhill everywhere. Everything's worse. Everything is just getting worse. But yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, you don't think there's any You have no thoughts on the fact that you don't
No,
think
she
Taco Bell
loves
got
Taco
their
Bell.
fingers on this and said, hey, or maybe Taco Bell got into the ears of maybe ESPN or other publications to say, hey, make sure you publish this story to try to get us back in the good graces of the people because our lettuce is making people poop.
Drake London, how many years because he played ball too. He played basketball too at USC.
Yeah, I believe so.
But not very well.
No,
but
it's kind of like
he did play.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. Speaking of which, DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, he's also on here.
One Falcon legend to another.
Yeah. Did you do anything special for your proposal to your wife?
Did I do anything
Bell.
special?
Did you do anything better than Taco Bell?
Better than I mean, I like Taco Bell, so. No. I proposed.
He's falling
over
He's falling for this
Christmas.
propaganda.
I proposed over Christmas.
Nice.
Weekend.
Nice.
At her parents' house.
Okay.
It's adorable.
Fun.
I had her niece give her the gift that had the ring in it. It was cute.
Nice. I just did mine at South Park down here, and then we walked up to the Eldridge and got a bottle of champagne.
Look at that.
Yeah, it was fun. Hey, it's Case of the Mondays for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, they just hired a new assistant wide receivers coach, DeAndre Hopkins, who is, by the way, not retired from the NFL. And DeAndre Hopkins made sure to put that out there. So Georgia Tech, they put out a tweet that said, welcome to the family or whatever, assistant wide receivers coach DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins then tweeted out, he said, I haven't retired from the NFL, but if you're a wide receiver who wants to be great, come to Georgia Tech football.
Huh.
Okay, sure, fine. I don't know how granted, DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent right now. He will get picked up.
He's open to work.
He's open to work. He will get picked up. Maybe he should get one of those signs. You always see that every year, like those guys who have the signs that says "We'll play football for money" or something. They always stand outside. He'll get picked up. There's no doubt in my mind. But it's a case of Mondays for Georgia Tech because he will get signed.
He will?
Absolutely. I think DeAndre Hopkins.
How old is he?
32.
34.
34. He's gonna get signed.
Why don't the Falcons pick him up, man? I'm telling you, he's in the Atlanta area.
But here's the thing. If he gets picked up by, let's say, just for example, the Seattle Seahawks, how the hell is he going to be an assistant wide receivers coach at Georgia Tech University when he's playing for this? That's the thing. Georgia Tech is paying DeAndre Hopkins money to be the assistant wide receivers coach, and he's not going to be there.
So he is not retired. Donovan Dent is also not retired anymore.
They're wasting their money. They're using this as we've seen NBA teams do this where they got Desmond Bain to be the whoever spokesman guy for TCU basketball. But that's it. They didn't hire Desmond Bain as an assistant coach. When you're an assistant wide receivers coach, you know what you got to be doing? You got to be watching film. You got to be working with these guys every single day in practice, working on their routes. And if DeAndre Hopkins is on any other team other than the Atlanta Falcons, he's not going to be there. And Georgia Tech is paying him money to be the assistant wide receivers coach. They're getting screwed. DeAndre Hopkins is stealing their money.
By the way, Drake London says no sponsorship with Taco Bell, but he says they're working on it.
Yeah.
So you're wrong.
Okay. Whatever. Do you think that DeAndre Hopkins will actually be at fall camp for this Georgia Tech football team?
No.
No chance.
No.
They're paying
You're
him.
right. Somebody will probably pick him up, but he is 34, so maybe not.
Oh, somebody's going to pick him up. I want the Chiefs to pick him up again, just so I can wear that DeAndre Hopkins jersey again.
That'd be true.
Hey, it's Case of Mondays for Johnny Infantino. If you're familiar with him, he is the president of the FIFA World Cup. He came out and said that he wants to sell stakes in FIFA, make it essentially a publicly traded company. That doesn't make sense at all. Really strange. And ever since he came out with this, so he said that he wanted to move forward in terms of selling off stakes in FIFA World Cup. People are protesting everything, and apparently UEFA, which is the bigger, is it bigger than FIFA? No, it's not bigger than FIFA. It's around there. UEFA, they came out and said that all 55 countries in UEFA would boycott the World Cup and every FIFA event if they sold off stakes. I kind of understand it. I mean, I would say that you don't want FIFA to be a publicly traded company, because once you get, investors and stockholders in this, then it turns into a money-making scheme, which in turn opens the door for a lot more corruption, even though it's the world's worst kept secret that that FIFA is like the most corrupt sporting, company in the world. But yeah, that's going to open it up to where it'd just be like way bigger. But shout out to the 55 countries who said they would boycott the World Cup.
FIFA no longer plans to sell off stakes of the World Cup.
Yeah, they bullied him out of it.
After basically every country threatened to boycott. So
good.
There's that.
I'm glad. Also, it says UEFA to declare loss of confidence in Gianni Infantino as FIFA president. And then they're all trying to get him out the door.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. Would you, if it were, and granted, I don't really know how any of this stuff works. Do you have any stocks?
No.
Neither do I. I don't know how.
I would like to.
Do you think it would be a good move to buy stock in FIFA? You think so?
I mean, look at the World Cup. It went from 32 to 48 teams, and they're going to continue expanding it.
Sure, I guess. And it was a very large event. I mean, it's the world's biggest sporting event, so it's fair. But also, I don't think I think it should be. I think you should keep it pure and not have shareholders.
There's two things in this world. Purity is not one of them. You need to know that.
What are the two things?
I will tell you the rest of them next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Hey, it's Case of
Bader?
Mondays for Harrison Bader.
Check, please.
Harrison Bader was dealing with plantar fasciitis.
Former Phillies and Cardinals and Twins legend.
Yes, former Phillies, Cardinals, and Twins legend. Harrison Bader, now with the San Francisco Baseball Giants.
Mm-hmm.
He did something bad this weekend. So, Bader, like I said, dealing with plantar fasciitis, has been kind of on and off the IR for quite a while, just having a foot injury. Reportedly further injured his foot by crashing a scooter into the back of a fire truck at 2 a.m., and then the fire truck then ran over the same foot with plantar fasciitis. Bader has
I can't imagine that improved the plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, no, it didn't. Bader has not appeared in a game since May 29th. Scheduled to visit Indianapolis to see a specialist with this issue on his left foot. On Friday, Tony Vitello said that Bader was, quote, frustrated by, quote, some setbacks that had stalled his rehab efforts. And then before he could make it to the foot specialist, he suffered a different kind of setback. So I guess this happened on Tuesday. He further injured the same foot by crashing a scooter. So he went out in San Francisco, went to the Balboa Cafe. It's a popular drinking hole owned by Governor Gavin Newsom. I actually didn't know that. He closed down the bar, hammered, hopped on a scooter, ran into the back of a fire truck, and the fire truck ran over his foot.
Which to be clear, would hurt even if he didn't have plantar fasciitis.
Would hurt even if he didn't have plantar fasciitis. Now, we did hear something from our resident intern, Tyler Brewer, saying that the Giants are refusing to pay him the rest of his contract until he plays a game again.
The Giants are just trying to win something.
Yeah, I know it. And hopefully they win a lawsuit or something.
Oh, man.
That's tough, man. That's tough to be like getting paid a lot of money to play for the Giants, not having played since May, and then getting so drunk that you get your foot run over by a fire truck after you run into it with a scooter.
Maybe don't operate a scooter while under the influence.
I would say probably not.
That's
Was it
not
one of those
smart.
electric scooters? I wonder. It'd be funny if it was like one of those razor scooters, like the ones everyone
that
has.
you got when you were 11 for Christmas,
doing like kick flips and different things.
Yeah,
oh,
tough scene for the former Met and Yankee legend.
That is a tough scene. I mean, that's just like, you got to grow up. Man, you can't be doing that, and especially when you're like a baseball player like that. You know what I mean?
Well, when you're on the injured list, act injured.
Right, act injured. I know it. Oh man,
couple more for you.
Yeah, a couple more. Case of Mondays for Indiana University students. So apparently, Indiana football is only allowing their students to select 5 out of 8 home games at Memorial Stadium.
So Sam went to Indiana Law School, and he said he remembers this from basketball. Like, the students couldn't
go to
all the games, which shout out to KU, by the way, the athletics department. They would never do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
take good things away from us.
Yeah, no kidding. But I will. So this is actually crazy too. So they can claim Any of the games between North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky, claim period 2 is August 26th to 27th. That's the first claim period for those 3 games. They can claim 2 of those 3 games between North Texas, Howard, and Western Kentucky. Then they can claim 2 of the 3 between Northwestern, Minnesota, and Purdue.
None of which are good games.
And then they can only claim 1 of 2 games between Ohio State and USC. So
Which
even
Ohio
if
State's the more attractive of that.
But even if you pick
tough.
5, you can't go to both Ohio State and USC.
Right.
You can only pick 1, and then you have to go to, the Northwestern Mizzou or Northwestern Minnesota.
They're saying they're feeling the effects of its national title. I mean, I don't know what you do from here, though. Clearly,
I get it, but let the students in. That's what you do.
Well, yeah, you let the students in, but not everybody's going to fit. Einstein.
Well, okay. Einstein. I think that the students
There's not
are more,
room for everybody. So I guess I don't know what the answer is, but that does.
How
suck.
much does their
you take
stadium
away seating from the rich people, but at this point you can't do that. So I don't know. I'm worried though that everybody's going to move to this.
Indiana plays at Memorial Stadium, officially Merchants Bank Field at Memorial Stadium. 53,524 seats.
Yeah,
you can fill those. Give them to the students.
Okay.
I think that
and then who's bringing you the money?
Okay,
it's great. It's great on paper. I love what you're saying. I support it.
Whatever.
But yeah,
I think students should be the number 1 priority all times. Hey, last one here. Case of the Mondays for eBay. eBay. Apparently, this is going back several years. So there was a couple from Massachusetts who has this thing called e-commerce bites. It's a blog talking about different e-commerce websites and things like that, though they review them essentially. Well, this couple, and they're a nice couple. They're like this older couple, nice looking people from Massachusetts. They wrote a story on their blog, kind of, being critical of eBay back in 2019.
Okay.
Saying that, eBay is not great. They just, kind of being critical about them. Like, hey, they can improve on some different things. eBay, over the last several years, has been sending them threatening messages, disturbing packages, and they even stalked them. The packages included live cockroaches and a bloody pig mask and
weird.
a funeral wreath.
That's weird.
eBay, the
and
company.
This is back in 2019.
So this has been going on for a while. This couple actually sued eBay, and eBay now has to pay this couple $50 million. Good.
I would be okay opening some cockroaches and a bloody pig mask if I got $50 million.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's terrible.
But that's the thing, though. Like, you have to be open to criticism. That's the thing. Like, I mean, this even go back to sports. It's like, you can say all you want, all the good things, and try to paint everything in a good light. But like, everyone has to be open to criticism. Yeah. Like, if eBay does something wrong, like, they have to be open to the criticism and be like, all right, well, that's a fair criticism, harsh but fair, and I guess we'll move on and we'll try to fix these things. Not like mafia style, like cut off a horse's head and put it in your bed type of like, the Godfather type stuff. Like, that's crazy.
Several former employees pleaded guilty and eBay apologized. But yeah, that's 50 mil.
It's crazy, man. It's just it's one of the wildest stories that I've ever heard in my life.
Just when you think you've seen it all.
Yeah. Shout out to e-commerce
Crazy.
bites.
That's our Case of the Mondays segment for today. I guess it's not a Case of the Mondays for that couple, though, if they're getting $50 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a great piece of mail to receive there. Thanks for tuning in on Case of the Mondays. After this, we're talking football to close out the show. We've got a Kansas football segment, the segment that we do constantly here on Rock Chalk Sports. Three things. Our token 3 things segment is coming up next. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
I'm Keith Langford, and you're watching kansasnation.com.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Hello, it's Mark Whitlow from Office Products Alliance. OPA is not just your local office products connection. We have expanded our offerings to network cabling installation, security cameras, door access, and IT services. We all need to keep pace with new technologies. You can trust a Kansas City company that has been your partner for 32 years. Check us out at opakc.com. Supporting local businesses and our community is more important than ever.
Big shout out to our partners over at Central Bank. With Central Bank and Jayhawk Checking, Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card, a great looking card. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. As the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. Learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. Jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas. Member FDIC. Dan, it's one of our favorite segments here as we are bringing back three things, a staple of Rock Chalk Sports that we've had for quite some time, and I know it's one of your favorites.
Can you remember a time where we didn't do three things? Our favorite segment? This is actually a new segment, by the way.
Yeah, we just came up with it.
Yeah, we just came up with this segment literally today of like, just think of three things that you want to see for KU football. And, you know, we've done a little bit of extensive research on this as well. But.
Totally. In advance of fall camp, which starts tomorrow, and you're going to hear from head football coach Lance Leipold, we are each going to give three things that we are looking for as the media are invited to small snippets of KU football practices, but then we, of course, get to be there for all the press conferences as well, and we'll have all that coverage for you. But, do you want to kick things off with your number one?
Do you want to flip the coin to see who goes first?
I don't necessarily need to do that, but we can if you want to flip the MIAA flipping coin.
I think anytime we can flip the MIAA flipping coin, we should.
Okay.
In case you were not aware of the MIAA flipping coin, this is from September 5th, 2019 against Northeastern State. Emporia State beat Northeastern State. It's the only game I ever got meaningful playing time in. I played in 3 snaps. 2 of them were victory formation. All right.
Okay.
Heads is you, tails is me. Let's just do
that. Heads.
It's heads.
I switched it up and went to heads, and I continue to
well, just heads
win.
is you, tails is me. That's just what.
So I didn't even need to call it. Okay, got it. I was confused by that. How come sometimes I call it and sometimes you assign?
Just to shake things up a little bit.
Okay. Things we are looking for in fall camp. I'm gonna go first because again I won the coin toss. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna be watching the quarterbacks.
Oh, no way.
I think the accuracy of the quarterbacks. I think how well they run an offense.
Sure.
To me, and this may just be me, that's one of the bigger storylines of fall camp. Is who is going to win the quarterback job?
So I had this on there. I'm not going to take it anymore. Just because it's
it was on your list as well.
No. But more specifically, it was I wanted to look at Isaiah Marshall's arm to see if he's gotten any better, because that's been the biggest thing about Isaiah Marshall is the fact that he's explosive, he can run the ball, but at the same time, can he run an offense and can he accurately throw the ball? Because I think Cole Ballard is a more accurate passer. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. That's really been the biggest question mark of the quarterbacks.
That's the thing is accuracy of the quarterbacks, I think is the number one thing. But, there's accuracy, and like we've talked about before, that's the most important thing. Like, you have to do all the other things, go through your progressions, have the playbook down, be able to run and control an offense, but you have to throw a good ball. And I want to know the accuracy of these quarterbacks, and I want to know, the arm strength of these quarterbacks. Again, I think we don't know the ceiling of either of these guys. People act like they know the ceiling of Cole Ballard. We don't really know the ceiling of Cole Ballard. We've seen him a little bit over the years. People, I think, assume that Isaiah Marshall has a higher ceiling because he is more quick twitch and, probably a little bit more of a dual threat. Ballard's a dual threat also, but in a different way. But you got to throw an accurate ball. You got to control an offense. And, I think it'll be fun watching those guys ball out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be – I mean, look, I'm comfortable with both of those guys. I think all the preseason things that I've seen is like, oh, well, they're whoever it's going to be, they're going to be the 16th best quarterback in the Big 12. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that these guys have a very high ceiling. I mean, the floor is probably lower, but I think that they have a very high ceiling. And if they're able to, acclimate themselves into an Andy Kotelnicki style offense, I think that they should be relatively okay. For my first thing on my 3 things that I'm watching for this Kansas football team, I think it all starts with the offensive line. I think that when you look
That's what my wife says.
I know, that's right. When you look at the offensive line, you lost Bryce Foster, you lost Kobe Baines, you lost Enrique Cruz, but you're bringing in a lot of talented transfers, and you're also having some guys who are needing to step up as well. Kason Carpenter, I think, is going to be a nice replacement for Bryce Foster, even though he's a little bit smaller. I think from what we're hearing, he's doing a very good job in terms of being that center. And the center really is the kind of the quarterback of the offensive line because he has to know where everyone else is going. He's the one calling different things out, obviously, because he has the best vantage point, really, in terms of anybody on the offensive line. So we're hearing good things about Kason Carpenter, hearing a lot of good things about Nick Morrow, hearing a lot of good things about Connor Stroh. That's going to be a fun little position battle right there at that right tackle position. And then I want to see how Calvin Clements continues to develop because year after year, we're consistently seeing Calvin Clements become a better left tackle, right? I want to see Tavake really make an impact. I want to see Amir Herring really make an impact as well. You have 2 guys in the interior offensive linemen in Amir Herring and Tavake Tuikilavatu who were really, solid guys from last year, but, had some rotational playing time, if you will. Now they're going to be the number 1 guys at the guard positions. I'm excited to see what they're able to do. So I think it all starts with the offensive line. And again, when you look at what Andy Kotelnicki does, right, you're going to have some help. You're going to have some 13 personnel. You're going to have some help from your tight ends, and you're going to scheme up different weird things like that. But I'm anxious to see just how this group meshes together when you do have 3 guys coming back who are stepping into a much bigger leadership role than they have had.
Yeah, I agree. And again, you are replacing a lot. We haven't talked about that because we're focused on a lot of the skill position guys who are getting replaced and certainly the quarterbacks, but you lose 60% of your starting offensive line. And we're excited about Amir Herring, sliding into a guard spot, and Calvin Clements, of course, local Free State guy. He's going to have a big year. But yeah, that's the storyline. And again, Tavake Tuikilavatu, he's going to have to take the next step up as well. But that's a story. The offensive line is a huge story when they struggle. They're not as much of a story, at least in the eyes of casual football fans, when the team is doing well. And that's kind of where you want them to be, I would say. David Lawrence will tell you, though, that'll be the first group that he points out when Kansas has success. And as you and my wife both say, it all starts up front. All right, what's next for you?
Are we going snake here?
Yeah, we're going to do a little snake.
All right, we'll go a little snake here. My second thing that I'm looking for in this Kansas football fall camp as this thing starts to get rolling is specifically Keaton Quebeca. I'm going to have a major eye on Keaton Quebeca and see how he is able to take that next step up, because it feels like every single year we talk about Keaton Quebeca and how this is the year that it's his time to shine. Now, heading into year 4 with this Kansas football program, he's going to be a senior this year. He's the leader in that room in terms of experience, in terms of longevity with the program. He played in 10 games last year. I think he was injured for a couple of them. Only had a touchdown, wound up with 157 yards, 17 receptions. I want to see how they utilize him more, because you have the guys that everyone kind of expects with the, quote, 3-headed monster that we like to say with Nick McMillan, Najee Cox, and Cam Pickett. But I think Keaton Quebeca is going to be a nice piece in this. I think he's going to have a much bigger role. I want to see how he's able to I want to see mainly a lot of the off-field stuff as well with Keaton Quebeca too. I want to see, how guys react to him, how he's talking to these guys and working through different things. And you can see that in one-on-ones. You can see it whenever he's working on his routes and different things and talking and honestly like coaching up these guys. I want to see Keaton Quebeca make that next step and be that impact guy that we all think that he can be and we've all expected him to be over the last few years, just kind of falling a little short. And granted, a lot of that has to do with injuries. A lot of that has to do with, just depth chart things. I think Keaton Quebeca is primed for a big year this year.
That would be a big plus in a wide receiver room that we're excited about, but maybe doesn't go 5, 6, 7 deep. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Quebeca, that would be a great thing for this offense if he could take the next step. For me, I'm going to the other side of the field, and I'm looking at the playmakers up front on the defensive line. Blake Harreld, Leroy Harris as well. I think what sticks out to me, and again, this could be silly because I'm talking video game, but EA College Football 2027 had Leroy Harris as a 73 overall. Yeah. He is a fantastic player. He proved that last year, not just on defense, but special teams as well. How many batted balls did he have? He had a couple blocked kicks as well. Did Leroy Harris? He has an NFL body. I think he definitely could potentially be a all Big 12 type performer. And then Blake Harreld, he really came on last year. Going into the season, we were excited about our guys up front because of DJ Withers and Tommy Dunn. And then Blake Harreld, he was the best one of all of them, especially down the stretch. And then again, you have not just Leroy Harris on the outside, but I'm also looking at Dak Brinkley because of how much he improved, how different his body looked just when we saw him in the spring from last season. So the playmakers on the defensive line will be somewhere that I look at. And then the next place I'm looking at, honestly, it's Dylan Edwards. Going back to the offensive side, is everything that we've seen from Dylan Edwards in his previous time at Colorado and K-State carrying over to Kansas as well as we'd hoped. And that's going to be something we're going to track over this next month. I want to see what he looks like in special teams, but I also, most importantly, want to see, okay, is this guy as quick twitch as I remember? How involved is he going to be in Kotelnicki's offense? He's going to have a big percentage of plays that he's involved, and he's going to be a pass catcher as well as a runner. So I want to see what he provides, between the tackles, but certainly on the outside because he has a lot of big play capability.
Yeah. Oh, man, I like that. I like that a lot. I think that Dylan Edwards, I mean, we've talked about this. He's not going to lead the team in terms of carries, but he's going to be an electric piece that's utilized in so many different ways in this style of offense. I love what you said about the defensive line, too. That'll be interesting to see, obviously, with Blake Harrell coming back, Leroy Harris, who is criminally underrated in terms of EA college football. Alex Bray as well. I mean, just another guy that not a lot of people are talking about, but I think he's going to be a high-impact caliber player. David Santiago as well, coming over from Michigan State. I mean, he was, had a lot of meaningful playing time at a Big Ten school and, has a lot of experience under his belt. So it'll be very, very interesting to see in regards to that. And you could even have a 1-2-3 punch with Jalen Dupree, who's also ranked relatively highly in EA college football. Again, I said, screw it, run a wing T sometimes. You know what I mean? Have a little 31 personnel out there. Some reverses, some reverse action. Why not, man?
Kotelnicki's probably thought of it.
I'm sure he has. I mean, you get Yasin Willis to be the fullback, and then Dupree and then Edwards lined up behind the tackle and tight end, respectively. I think that'd be fun. I love it. I don't know. We ran a wing T in high school, so I do kind of like that. I'm biased, I guess, if you will. The last thing that I'm going to be looking for, honestly, is probably going to be just what the defense lines up in. And if DK McDonald is going to make any kind of adjustments in terms of how they line up. Is it going to be a 4-3 defense? Is it going to be a 3-4 defense, right? Because typically we saw a 4-3 kind of set with a rover, if you will, kind of playing down, sometimes playing the nickel corner, sometimes coming on blitzes, playing sort of that other edge spot, if you will. But I am anxious to see it. I mean, me, I love the 3-4 defense with the rover that Oklahoma State and it was kind of coined at Iowa State back in the day. I love that style of defense. We didn't see it here at Kansas, but I'm interested to note, just because of the fact that you have a lot of guys on the defensive line, I understand that, and you could run 3 guys, but you also have Bam Crouch and Quincy Davis, guys who can, apply pressure on the interior. Do you reach farther into the depth chart in the linebacker room and play to that advantage that you have as well, where you go, okay, well, Quincy Davis and Bam Crouch and Trey Lathan and Josh Galbraith, you have a number of different linebackers who are in that room, Jabril Alameen. Do you go farther into that depth chart and change up the way that you line up on defense to utilize those linebackers more and take a guy off of the defensive line and try to apply pressure from that second line of defense in the linebacker room? I think that would be an interesting thing to maybe look at. Or if DK McDonald just doesn't make any adjustments and we continue to run the same style of defense that we saw from last year.
Yeah, it sounds silly, but KU has to be better at all three levels defensively this year. And again, it's a big year for DK McDonald because you got to pressure the quarterback. Didn't do that enough last year. Harris was the best. Harris and Harold were the best that Kansas had on that front. But as Nick Springer said earlier in the show, only 4 takeaways for the Kansas defense, 4 interceptions last year. And the linebackers, you're losing Bengali Kamara, who was such a good player. But again, I think they loaded up pretty good in the portal. Linebackers, some of the guys that you mentioned. So, that'll be something to look at as well. There's other things we want to look at, too. How are the specialists compared to last season as well? Because special teams, the first 75% of the season last year was one of the best in the country, and you're replacing guys like Latham Arjan in the kicking game. So we'll see how that looks moving forward. After this, though, we are talking Kansas City Chiefs. Our opponent outlook moves us to the Buffalo Bills. That closes down Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
What's up, everybody? Dan Peterson. Everybody go check out kansasnation.com.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Grass is still growing, and so are the savings at Heinen. Dominate the season with this limited-time offer on the all-star lineup of Ferris zero-turn mowers at Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. Get up to $600 instant rebate on a Ferris zero-turn mower. Flexible financing options available with improved credit. Offer ends August 31st. For details and big savings, see Heinen Repair in Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence.
With Heinen, there's always hope for your yard.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. kansasnation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright with you here for Rock Chalk Sports. We're going to have coverage all week of KU football fall camp as we get a chance to catch up with Coach Leipold and the guys this week and the next few weeks before Media Day actually is on August 20th. So get about 2.5 weeks of coverage, press conferences before the guys close down the kind of media portion of their fall camp and then focus solely on practice and getting ready for Long Island Friday, September 4th. First 2 games, for anybody who forgot, are on Fridays. Friday, September 4th, 7 o'clock, Long Island. Friday, September 11th, Missouri, also at 7 o'clock.
Missouri.
The Buffalo Bills are next on our Kansas City Chiefs opponent outlook. The Chiefs head to Western New York. They've not been good against the Bills in the regular season. They've been fantastic in the postseason against the Bills. But, of course, they are led by perennial MVP candidate Josh Allen. The Bills still without his Super Bowl with Allen as QB, but expected to be back in the hunt again this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Buffalo Bills, when you look at their team, obviously they're a very nice team, stout team. Who is their – I'm just going to double-check this. Their head coach is Joe Brady. That's right. Joe Brady was hired as their head coach. I know Sean McDermott got fired. So Joe Brady, which I do kind of like that pickup just because I think that he was kind of one of those hot names that was around for literally ever, and now getting a chance to be that head coach. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to kind of see. Obviously, nice offensive mind in Joe Brady. But, yeah, Josh Allen's coming back, who's just going to be, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, probably behind Patrick Mahomes, like I said. James Cook, I mean, one of the better running backs in the league, 1,600 rushing yards last year, had 12 touchdowns. Josh Allen, by the way, had 14 rushing touchdowns too. So for what that's worth, I guess obviously we know that Josh Allen is able to run. But their receiving core has a little bit of a shakeup just because of the fact that they did get DJ Moore. So that's really interesting. I think that he's going to be a nice addition as well. Khalil Shakir really was their main guy from last year. You look at the stats from last year, he led them in receiving with 719 yards, had 4 touchdowns. Dalton Kincaid was right behind him with 5, and then Dawson Knox with 4. So they have 2 really nice tight ends, obviously, and then Khalil Shakir, can he replicate what he did from last year? Will be interesting, and then DJ Moore being thrown in there as well. They do have Keon Coleman, and they also have Josh Palmer, but Keon Coleman hasn't been what we kind of thought he was going to be in the NFL. Right now, he's listed as their second string behind DJ Moore in terms of their wide receiver room. So that'll be interesting to know. Also, they have Mecole Hardman. Do you know that?
Yeah. Current Bills, great.
Yeah. Shout out to Mecole Hardman, Super Bowl touchdown scorer, Mecole Hardman.
Right.
On the defensive side of the ball, they have a really stout defense. Greg Rousseau is fantastic. TJ Sanders is fantastic. They have Ed Oliver as their right defensive end. They did just get Bradley Chubb as kind of that Sam linebacker, who I think is going to be a really nice addition for them. They did get CJ Gardner-Johnson, so it'll be interesting to see if he's still got a little juice left in the tank. Geno Stone was a really nice free safety from last year. So, yeah, I mean, this is just going to be another stout NFL team that the Chiefs are probably going to lose to in the regular season and then beat them in the playoffs. That's what happens every year. It happens every single year. They lose to the Bills in the regular season and they beat them in the playoffs.
Last year, the Bills went 12-5, and they lost in overtime to the Broncos. So it finally wasn't the Chiefs who knocked them out. So they're probably thinking, all right, this is our opportunity. And now they move on from Sean McDermott, who led them to a lot of success. And we'll see how Joe Brady, who was the offensive coordinator, does as the head coach. Bills have the second shortest odds to win the Super Bowl, tied for second. The Rams have the shortest odds to win the Super Bowl, plus 550, but then the Bills and the Ravens are both plus 1,000. Seahawks plus 1,100. Eagles, Patriots, and Chiefs are plus 1,600. So that is something to keep an eye on. The Bills are projected to win either 11 or 12 games, but trending toward 11 games. So their rough estimate is that they'll go 11-6. Again, 12-5. Last year. For the Chiefs, anybody who's wondering, the Chiefs over-under for wins is over 9.5 is at minus 160, over 10.5 is at plus 115. So the Chiefs are projected to win about 10 games, 10-7. We know it's a difficult schedule for the Chiefs, but we'll see. Of course, there's the Mahomes factor as well. This game, which takes place on Thanksgiving, Dan, Chiefs at Bills at their new stadium, new Highmark Stadium, will be Thursday Night Football, 7:20 on Thanksgiving. So you can enjoy the 2 games prior without having to, have your day ruined if the Chiefs were to have lost earlier. And then after that, the Chiefs play Thursday Night Football again, and it's at the Rams and then at the Bengals. So this is the first of 3 consecutive road games. Oh, by the way, no, they're not doing it in one flight, but you're going from Buffalo to L.A. And then to Cincinnati. So a really tough 3-game stretch here for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the toughest 3-game stretch I think the Chiefs have had probably in the last maybe 5 years, just because of the fact that all these games are going to be on the road, and you're coming off of, 3 very winnable games, which I would say is probably a good thing in terms of momentum. But at the same time, it all starts with this one in terms of this 3-game stretch. You got to go out there and you got to beat the Bills in Buffalo. It's going to be tough. It's going to be cold. New stadium, no dome though. So we'll see how this one goes. Again, probably going to lose and then probably beat them in the playoffs.
Well, we'll take on the Rams, the Chiefs, following the week, and we'll preview them tomorrow. That's also who the Chiefs play their first game in the preseason on August 15th. That's a 3 p.m. kick. Chiefs and Rams. Of course, that game won't mean much, but it'll be excited to have football back here at Arrowhead. All right, that's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports today. Big shout out to our technical director, Elijah Schmidt, assisted by Tyler Brewer today. For Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you tomorrow from 4 to 6. We'll talk MLB Trade Deadline, Kansas football, day 1 of fall camp, all sorts of good stuff for you, as always, on Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
Hi, my name is Augusto Mungarrieta from Kansas Baseball, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Dog Days of Summer sales event at Family Leisure. Deep discounts store-wide. It's hot and you need a pool. All remaining pools are priced to move. Buy now and save big. Pools as low as $19.99. Patio furniture, wicker, sling, poly, and more. Huge in-stock selection. Up to 50% off. If you've been thinking about getting a new patio set, now is the time. Melt away stress. Great deals on spas, swim spas, and cold plunge tubs. Now featuring Fooly trampolines. Dog Days of Summer sales event going on now at Family Leisure.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn, you want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Jayhawk fans, if you haven't started to follow Kansas Nation on social, now is the time. Facebook, Instagram, X, it's Kansas Nation, and online at kansasnation.com for the latest news and information on your Kansas Jayhawks. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, podcasts. Find it all at Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com. KansasNation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step